Good evening. Buenas noches. Over 25 years in formal roles as a school board member, thank you, Governor Rendell, district leader, researcher, and consultant, as well as in formal roles as a community member, volunteer, and my favorite, as auntie. I've observed a lot of pre-K-12 classrooms, not including my own experiences as a student or teacher in training. And across all those years and experiences, I've seen a lot of what people have called model, perfect, high-performing, and best classrooms and teachers. And yet, too often, when I leave those classrooms with expert educators and everyone agrees this is an effective teacher, no one can name the learning objective or is even sure it was grade-level work we were observing. That is, too often we celebrate educators based on some perception of order, engagement, or performance on a single metric. The example of tonight's Educator of the Year honoree begs us to think about effective instruction in a much more robust way. Over the years, in lots of different studies, one finding continues to be true and increasingly significant. The greatest in-school factor in student achievement is the quality of teaching. This fact, the power of the teacher, does not mean that Philadelphia can immediately close its long, persistent performance gaps or outpace others simply by hiring great teachers, but we cannot do it without them. Yes, school resources and school leaders matter, mostly in fostering conditions for success, including school safety, meaningful teacher feedback and support, adequate supplies and technology, engaged family and community members, etc. But quality teaching, which research also shows is influenced by quality materials, is essential. And as we learned by reading about tonight's honoree, Science Leadership Academy's Ms. Njemele Tamala Anderson, this can be exciting. National frameworks for effective teaching, my own consciousness, science of best materials all tell us good teaching is rigorous and standards-based. It's not dialed down as some supposed favor for Black, Latina, or students with disabilities. It is coherent. It's deliberately organized in ways that sequence over time, build depth, and leverage an expanding deep knowledge that is both durable and transferable. It is evidence-based, based on research that actually shows outcomes for children. It is usable. Materials are accessible, clear, engaging, and relevant for every child. And dear God, it is equity-centered. Materials and instruction help students develop the knowledge, skills, and dispositions they need to be successful in an increasingly complex and diverse world. It includes not just high expectations and ambitions, but also practices that leverage, I heard someone say it earlier, the D word, diversity, meaning they are culturally responsive and sustaining. They honor and affirm every student's multiple and intersecting identities. They are linguistically sustaining. They respect and expand students' linguistic repertoires, not just their native languages, but also regional and cultural vernaculars and dialects. And they encourage students to become agents of change. Most of all, quality teaching is joyful. It uplifts the spirit, inspires curiosity, brings care, critical thinking, and lifelong learning. These criteria are neither new or groundbreaking. They stem from a world we call resistance education, abolitionist teaching, liberation theory, fugitive pedagogy, and even sometimes ratchetdemics. I know who's reading. They are the principles behind the secret study among Jews throughout history, and especially leading up to and through the Holocaust. They are found in the seemingly ad hoc communal learning in Japanese internment camps, the missions of migrant schools across the Southwest, and the cause for the Northeast early bilingual ed and 1970s and 80s Nuyorican education movement. It's in indigenous talking circles and community teachings, even in the face of extermination, removal, and assimilation. It's in Appalachian schoolhouses and most notably across the entire continuum of Black history in this country. You can do that. They're found in the, see, I'm not really a Baptist, I don't have the timing right. They're found in the clandestine literacy learning of America's enslaved, the freedmen schools and the birth of HBCUs in the Reconstruction era, segregated Black-led schools of post-Reconstruction and imagined by Carter Woodson, Booker T, W.E.B. Du Bois, and Anna Julia Hooper, as well as the freedom schools in the Civil Rights era. Most importantly, they're found in the classroom of Miss Anderson. She centers her instruction on her students, their home, culture, community assets, and deliberately fosters students' sense of safety, identity, and belonging and self-efficacy, and helps all students, not just some essentialized subset of students such as Latina, Black, linguistic minority, or LGBTQ, to successfully navigate, thrive, and alter the world they live in. Good teachers and great schools exemplify these principles in ways that build, not divide, our communities. Yes, and Njemele Tamala Anderson teaches students of color who, as she described, look like her. They hear Bill Withers and read Bettina Love. They study poetry and social justice. They work together and share responsibility for learning. But this isn't magic. This is high-quality curriculum and instruction in action, and part of a long and powerful tradition, and it neither begins nor can end with Miss Anderson. I am grateful to know there are teachers like her who are both faithful to our traditions and steadfast in pursuit of educational excellence and a different kind of collective future. I am privileged to honor one who, in the content of what she teaches, how she teaches it, and who she teaches, represents the science, the art, and the joy of teaching and learning, and by God, the promise and possibility for all of our children. Please join me in celebrating this year's Philadelphia Citizen Educator of the Year, Ms. Njemele Tamala Anderson.
Their souls dwell in a place of tomorrow that you may not visit, not even in your dreams. Well, the people who came before me, right? They were all so well poised. No one shed a tear. But baby, here it comes. Those are my children's over there. First, I want to thank the Philadelphia Citizen for this fantastic honor. I was completely shocked when I got the call from Jessica that I was the recipient of Educator of the Year. Bless you. All of the things that were said before I came up here, all of those things are true in what I do with my babies that I get every year in my classroom. And when I look at my children in my classroom, I see their destiny. I don't see where they are right now. I see their destiny. And because I see their destiny, I'm aware, more than aware, that our destinies are linked. And if I don't give my students the best that I have while I have them, then I'm doing a disservice, not just to them, but to myself and to my line. Because when my children leave my space and go into whatever vocation it is that they want to do with their lives, they are going to come in contact with someone from my line. And I want that when they come in contact with somebody from my line, my children, my nieces, my grands, if I ever get some, hint, hint. When they come in contact with someone from my line, I want them, whether they are pumping gas or preparing for surgery, I want them to have a piece of me jump up inside of them. Because I've given them the best that I've had while I had them for 10 months. So when I prepare work for my babies, I'm preparing work that's going to help them to critically engage with the world in which they live in, because they're the inheritors of that world. So they come into my room and I'm loving on them. Now, it might not feel like love to them when they're writing these 5-page papers in the 9th grade and they're reading Du Bois and Baldwin and Bettina Love and debating and doing a critical analysis of the education in America. It might not feel like love, but it's love. When the children know that you love them, not superficial love, when they know that you love them, that you see their humanity, when you touch their humanness, and you see a human and not just a student in the chair, they will run through a wall to please you. But if you are an educator and you have not had that type of experience with a young person, then you need to check what you're doing. Seriously. You need to check what you're doing. There is no greater vocation than being a teacher. None. Because every profession that is a profession, you had to have a teacher. Somebody taught you how to do the thing that you're doing, the thing that you're making money with. Somebody taught you how to do that. But the teaching profession is the most disrespected profession that is. There should never be a debate about how much teachers should get paid. Never. Because our job is not 8:15 to 3:25. That's my schedule. I'm answering emails, laying in the bed with my big shoulders at 9 o'clock last night from a parent. My children are texting me. They're sending me messages. That's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We don't get overtime. We're salaried employees. Whatever the contract says we get paid, that's it. But I don't turn off my communication with my students or their families because we're linked. But there should never be a debate about how much teachers should get paid. And while I love my Philadelphia Eagles, I'm not in love with the Sixers right now, but while I love my Philadelphia Eagles and all of the millions they get paid to do the job that they love to do, those contracts should look like teachers' contracts. But the profession is the most disrespected profession that is. Anytime that you think that you can just put a warm body in a room, let them work on getting their license, but they're in front of your child, would you go to a doctor that did not have their license? Would you let the dentist work in your mouth and they have not passed to get their licensure? But they will put a child in a class, they will put a teacher in a classroom that has not been licensed, that's working, trying to get it. But this is the destiny that they're teaching. We have to do better. We have to do better. But while we're trying to do better, those who are in those classrooms, those who have influence in those classrooms, those who have influence with the finances, our destinies are linked to those children that are sitting in that chair. And if you don't believe that, and you are a teacher in that classroom, then you need to quit. Because those children, as the song that was playing by Sweet Honey in the Rock, are not our children. They are the sons and the daughters of life. And we have to respect and honor them in their humanity, and we have to love them through all the lumps. I want to thank my family. I want to thank the educators that have poured into me. I'm wearing my great-grandmother's gloves, Thelma Scott. I have my granny Evelyn Solomon on my arm. And my mama is standing back there taking pictures and probably crying in her napkin. But these are the women who poured into me to make me who I am today. And the teacher that I am today comes from them. It comes from Philadelphia Freedom Schools. It comes from Imhotep Institute Charter High School with Mama Christine Wiggins. Shimhotep, baby girl. They are who have made who you see today. I thank you, the Philadelphia citizens. I thank all of you.